Okay, good morning everyone. Today we'll revise our topic heat transfer. As you know that heat is the form of energy that is simply transferred from one system to another just because of the temperature difference. Means heat will flow from the higher temperature side to the lower temperature side. Okay. According to the definition also, it is the process of transfer of heat from high temperature system to low temperature system. As you can see in the slide which is presenting in your screen, what is the definition of heat transfer? I think you have got it. Now, heat is a form of energy. All of you are knowing this, कि heat is a form of energy. It means thermal energy. Objects, any of the objects does not contain any kind of heat. Simply they only contain the thermal energy. Okay. Now, you will surprise that what is meant by thermal energy. Thermal energy is the sum of energy of all of the particles which are bound to form a one particle or a single particle. Okay. All the sum of energies which is present in all the particles in any object. Okay. Now thermal energy includes what kind of energies? It includes kinetic energy. Like kinetic energy is also of various types like rotational energy, vibrational energy and translational energy. These all are what? Movement of the molecules. Before going further, one should know the basic difference between heat and temperature. Heat is a different thing and temperature is a different thing. Now, what is heat? It is a form of energy, or any substance does not contain any heat, okay? But temperature, what is the temperature? When we'll compare the heat with temperature, then temperature is a measure of the average kinetic energy of the particles in any object. If temperature increases, then kinetic energy of the particle also will increase. It is a vice versa process, okay? Now, what can be the modes of heat transfer? Basically, there are three modes of heat transfer. First one is conduction, second one is convection, and third one is radiation. Okay, so there must be some reason for why the heat is getting transferred from the system to the surrounding body. Okay, between the system and the surrounding. Okay, so what can be the reason? Means what is the driving force? What is the force which is activating the heat to get transfer from the system to the surrounding? So the driving force for the heat transfer is none other than temperature difference. If any system or surrounding is facing any temperature difference, then there must be the transfer of the heat. Okay, so the objects will exchange thermal energy until equilibriums are achieved between them. Now, the last part of the slide shows us that there is a process in which there is no transfer of heat takes place between the system and its surrounding. That process is known as adiabatic process. Okay. After that, we'll study what are the various applications of heat transfer. First and the most important is first one is evaporation. As you all know what is meant by evaporation. This is the phase conversion process. Means when heat is supplied to any liquid system, then the liquid present in the system will get converted into the vapor. Okay, that process is known as evaporation. Means the liquid present in the material is evaporated with the help of heating to get a concentrated product. Okay, after the process of evaporation, we'll get a concentrated product like preparation of vegetable extracts. There are so many examples which we are facing in the daily life after by the process of that evaporation. Okay, second one is the distillation. What is the need for distillation? Because because to achieve the purified product. Okay, heat is supplied to any liquid mixture. It may be two or more liquids are present in the mixture for converting the liquid into vapor, so that the individual vapor components are condensed to another places. Okay, this is the second application for heat transfer. Third one is the drying. Now what is drying? Drying is the again moisture removal from any wet solid mass. For example, in the production of tablet, heat is passed through a carrier gas over a bed of wet solid mass for achieving drying. Production of tablets, we make granules are prepared for the production of tablets. So after the granules are made, they should be dried for proper compression. Okay, so third application is drying. Fourth one is crystallization. Now crystallization is a saturated solution is heated to bring about supersaturation, which promotes the crystallization of drugs. Now last application for the heat transfer is sterilization. Sterilization, the most important part in our pharmaceuticals. Okay, for the sterilization of pharmaceuticals, autoclaves are used with steam as a heating medium. Dry heat is used for the sterilization of glass apparatus and other containers. What is the need to sterilize our glass containers or the other pharmaceuticals? Just to make it free from any microbial contamination. Sterilization of each and every part or every unit operation is necessary in the pharmaceutical productions. Okay. Next topic is objective. Objective means what are the various reasons for this heat transfer mechanism. First one is insulation, second one is enhancement, and third one is the temperature control, to reduce the heat or energy loss or making energy utilization more effective. Okay, this is the basic objective for heat transfer. First one is the insulation. What do you mean by insulation? Just the reduction of any heat transfer as much as possible across a system and its surrounding. Means the heat transfer should not take place, or it must be reduced up to the mark between a system and its surrounding. Second one is the enhancement. Enhancement is the promotion of heat transfer across a finite temperature difference. What is enhancement? Means we are promoting the heat transfer mechanism. In insulation part, we were reducing the heat transfer between the system and the surrounding. In enhancement, we are promoting the heat transfer across a finite temperature difference. Third one is temperature control. In temperature control, the temperature of the region is required to be maintained close to the specified value. Means, as you can understand by the heading, we are controlling the temperature in this part. Okay. Now it has been, what can be the example for that? Means thermoregulation of human body. Though more or less blood flow to localized region coupled with mechanism like sweating is an example of our temperature control. We human beings sweat when we are doing lots of n numbers of physical activities we are performing in our daily life. So when the body gets overheated, then there is a temperature control mechanism present in our body, that is sweating. Okay. Okay, next topic is mechanism of heat transfer. Mechanism means how any process is taking place. Okay, so we will study now what are the basic steps through which heat transfer takes place. In earlier slides, we have studied that heat flows from a region of high temperature to a region of lower temperature. Okay, just like heat will flow. Heat is a form of energy. I have told you that heat will flow from where the temperature is maximum towards where the heat is at lower side. Okay. So there are three basic mechanisms. First one is conduction, second is convection, and third one is radiation. Now at first we will study conduction. It is also known as diffusion. In conduction, transfer of heat takes place from one molecule to an adjacent molecule, or we can say that from a warmer object to a cooler object. Okay, when the two objects are in direct contact with each other. It takes place where in the solids. We have studied in our earlier classes that in solid the molecules are packed very closely and tightly, because it is solid is having therefore the solid is having what? Proper definite shape and definite volume. Okay, so in conduction what happens? The transfer of heat takes place from one molecule to the adjacent molecule, or from a warmer object to a cooler object. Okay, when both the objects are in direct contact, then only conduction will take place. Now, according to the slide, it is written over there, conduction is a process in which heat flows in a body is achieved by the transfer of the momentum of individual atoms or molecules without mixing. So, in easy language, I have told you that transfer of heat from one molecule to an adjacent molecule. ठीक है? Now, next is, it is explained, or transfer of heat from one atom to another within an object by indirect contact with each other. Earlier I told you this, when the objects are in direct contact with each other, then only conduction can take place. Okay, for example, flow of heat through a metal shell of a boiler takes place by conduction as far as the solid wall or the shell is considered. Now, conduction is the most significant means of heat transfer within a solid or between solid objects in thermal contact. Okay. Last point for this is, the flow of heat depends on the transfer of vibrational energy from one molecule to the another, as in case of metal, the movement of free electrons. Okay. Heat conduction occurs as hot, rapidly moving or vibrating atoms and molecule bump into the neighboring atoms and molecules. Okay, when the vibrational energy of any molecule takes place, if one molecule is vibrating and its energy is very high, then it will transfer that vibrational energy to the adjacent molecule. In this way the conduction takes place. Next is convection. Convection is usually the dominant form of heat transfer in liquids and gases. Convection takes place in liquids and gases. It is the heat transfer due to the bulk movement of the molecules within the fluids such as gases and liquids. We have studied in our earlier classes that what do you mean by fluids? All those molecules which can flow. Okay, so fluids consider both liquids and gases. Or in easy language we can say that what is convection? So it is the heat flow that is achieved by the mixing of any warmer portion of the fluids with the cooler portion of that same material. Okay, it is the heat transfer due to the bulk movement within the fluids such as gases and liquids. Heating of water is the best example to understand convection. Now, there is a term known as natural convection. What do you mean by natural convection? It is a case where the fluid movement is created by the warm fluid itself. The fluid which is warm, that will create the movement towards the cooler portion of that fluid only. The density of the fluid decreases as it is heated, and thus hot fluids are lighter than the cool fluid. Also, the term natural convection can be understood by this, that it is the fluid motion which is caused by the buoyancy forces that are induced by the density difference due to the variation of temperature. Always remember that when there is a temperature variation, then there will be the density differences between the various fluids. Okay, the fluid which is already heated will get decrease in the density. Therefore, the hot fluids are lighter than the cool ones. Now, if you don't know that what is buoyancy, then let me tell you that buoyancy is the tendency of any object to float in a liquid. Okay, It can be the buoyant force we have studied in our school, that it is any upward force exerted by the fluid that opposes the weight of partially or fully immersed object. Okay. Now there is another terminology in the convection is forced convection. What is forced convection? In this, the fluid is forced to flow by use of a pump, fan or other mechanical means. When there is introduction of any mechanical means, so the movement of fluid will take place. Okay. Forced convection takes place only in the winter days, where heat loss from your body increases due to the constant replenishment of cold air by the wind. Natural wind and fans are the two most common sources of forced convection. Now our third heading is radiation. Again, radiation is what? It is the transfer of energy by means of the emission of electromagnetic radiation, is known as radiation heat transfer. Okay, energy transfer process in which heat flows through the space by means of electromagnetic waves. So electromagnetic waves are the reason for this part of mechanism. Again, radiative heat transfer occurs when the emitted radiation strikes another body and is absorbed. Electromagnetic waves are helping the heat energy to flow. Okay. Now, what happens here? When the radiative heat transfer occurs, means when the heat transfer is taking place with the help of radiation, the emitted radiation strikes another body. Emitted radiation is striking the another body, and to which body the radiation is striking, that body is absorbing those radiation, then only heat transfer can take place. So for example, the best example is our solar radiation. We all experience in everyday day-to-day life. Okay, that radiative heat transfer every day is our solar radiation, which is absorbed by our skin, and that's why we feel warmer when we are present in under the sun. Okay. Now another examples are like solar water heaters, solar cookers, microwave ovens, microwave cookers, sonicator baths. These all are the best examples of radiation. This is the best picture to understand all the three mechanisms of heat transfer, that is conduction, convection and radiation. The first one, where the man is holding the pan, okay, that part is the conduction. Second, where the convection, it is shown that the movement of the liquid molecules is shown. And third one is the radiation, where all the radiation is transferred from that heating medium towards the pan. Okay, and it is being absorbed by the body, which is again transferred to the liquid, which is again transferred in the vapor phase. Okay, so in our next class we will study the further mechanism in detail. Thank you.